Hi everyone and welcome to our webinar. It's Webinar Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. I can see that we've got people from Ohio, Edinburgh, Oman, Finland. Welcome to you all. We're delighted that you're going to be here. And I'm also joined today by my co-host Ivan. How are you, Ivan?
Pretty good. Looking forward to a very rainy May day in Helsinki, but it's been getting there.
Well, it's absolutely wonderfully sunny here in Scotland. So hence I've actually got my blind down for the first time this year in a webinar. Hello, Sydney from Canada, Celestino from Portugal, Thomas from Ireland, all of you, a huge welcome. So today's webinar is all about accessibility. As usual, you'll get an email at the end of the webinar, probably about half an hour or so afterwards, and we're sending you all the links. This deck, which has got lots of resources in it linked, and there's also going to be a certificate that you get for your attendance, because I think it's really important that you're able to evidence this within your own PD portfolios. So we have about an hour. We want to make sure that you have an opportunity to ask us questions. And this is really designed for you to make the most out of this opportunity. So if you've got any questions at all, pop them in the chat. Ivan is there as our head of support, who probably knows more about ThingLink than anybody on the planet. Ivan will be able to answer your question in the chat. And if it's a nice comment or a question, we can also put it on the screen as well. So as usual, please do join in the chat. So let's get going. Hello, someone from Argentina, someone from Pakistan joining us, Saif, Sabine from Germany, welcome. So Ivan, I'm just going to send you back to the green room then to answer all the questions. And if there's anything you want to say, then you can just unmute yourself and jump back in as well. So thanks ever so much, everyone, for joining us. This webinar really is not just about the built-in features that we offer you within ThingLink, but we also wanted to offer you some design tips so that you have got lots of great other kind of things that you want to start thinking about when you're designing as well. So I thought this would be quite fun for me to show you. So I actually was at the doctor's yesterday just for a routine appointment, nothing important, but I took these pictures whilst I was sat in the waiting room for the doctor's appointment. I'm going to put Ivan back on here, actually. Ivan, come back on and you can just share your thoughts about this. I mean, this is just crazy, isn't it? So these were actual pictures I took with my phone of things that were just on the wall. And I couldn't help but sit there and think, how accessible is the information around us? I mean, this is things for people, you know, who are in a doctor's surgery. This one here, this top one, is all about, you know, who to go to in an emergency. So do you need self-care? Do you go to the pharmacy? And I just thought, you know, we really have got to make sure that every space that we go into considers the people who are going to be absorbing that information. I mean, there isn't just the information in there. It's, you know, the color scheme. There's links in it as well. How are people meant to access those URLs directly in? I mean, do you see things like this, Ivan, and think, wow, that could be a ThingLink?
Yeah, I mean, I have to give them credit. They tried to provide as much information as they could, but it's just an information overload. And like you mentioned, links on an image, that's just not usable.
Yeah, it's not. So, you know, going back the way to that one, all of these individually were photos. Then I just, I thought, you know, we must do better. Thanks, Ivan. So that's what we're going to be thinking about today, is really how we can make things more accessible and how we can make things so much easier for people. And I thought this was a good little video here as well. So this video is of somebody that's trying to understand a complex procedure. And, you know, they're looking at a PDF on a clipboard whilst they've got someone talking to them, and they're trying to understand how to work some really important machinery. So again, this happens day in, day out in people's lives. If only we could start practicing, making things inclusive for people. So here's an example, and I'm sure that many of you have seen this example before, of how you could use ThingLink to create these interactive assets where processes can be broken down into simple steps, and all of those little tips and tricks to make things easier for the person who's viewing it. And that's exactly what we're going to be looking at. So it's not just about, accessibility features that are on there. It's all about how we design and make things easier. And it's not just for operating machinery. It could be a place or a space. This is something that's been designed to help new members of staff who come to work at this particular NHS facility. And here you can see that you've got guided sequence. The beacons flash and show people all around this incredible asset. And if you click on that, it will take you to the example so that you can have a look. And of course, that can be accessed on any device. So imagine people getting this before they go to work here on their first day, because you know how overwhelming it is on your first day. And you've got this to look at before you go to the place. And of course, this will work on your mobile phone as well. So all of these things are there designed to help with comfort and for an organization to instill confidence in the people that are viewing those assets as well. So as you very much know, there are people there in the audience today who know and love ThingLink already, and some of you that might be new to ThingLink and don't know why some of the reasons that ThingLink exists. So we've summarized it on 4 really nice points here. And I think for me, they go back to ThingLink's original authenticity and the reason that ThingLink's here, it's raison d'etre, and it's all about multimodality and accessibility as well. So we've got students being able to add their voice, their reflections, and students and teachers can use this to add in those tags, add in their narrative, add in their pictures, their videos, all of these things. And you can do that with everyday objects or everyday learning activities. As I mentioned, making everyday objects and processes so much more simpler for people. So we're breaking things down into simple steps. Another example here, expanding access to the world through digital media by making the inaccessible accessible. So think of places that we just can't get into. It might be places of work. It might be far-flung places that we'll never get to see. It might be the International Space Station. All of these kinds of things, these assets can be made into virtual tours, virtual trips, and make the inaccessible accessible. And then the last point here is about bringing things to life, creating immersive digital experiences, escape rooms, scenarios. All of these things are really nice ways to engage people instead of giving them a PDF or a piece of text. So that's just to give you an overview of what ThingLink's about before we dive into looking at some of those accessibility features and tools and tips. And if you've got anything else that you want to put in the chat there, examples that you know and love, please do summarize those in the chat so we can share them. So I've often thought that adding ThingLink into a workplace and starting their transformation as a culture that really thinks about being inclusive can really help start making it an inclusive workspace. And what do we mean by that? So inclusion in the workplace absolutely starts with accessibility, and that is making sure that every process, space, piece of visual communication can be experienced and understood by everyone. And that's irrespective of whether they've got accessibility requirements or not. Because as an employer, you don't know whether people have got accessibility requirements. People don't come with a statement. People don't even know themselves if they have accessibility requirements. And this is why it's so much better, so much more inclusive to think about accessibility for all. And within the context of this webinar, it's about designing with that intention and removing barriers and creating systems that allow employees to fully participate. And I can guarantee you that if you start creating an inclusive workplace from the very first time that someone sets foot in that organization, it's going to open their eyes up to their own accessible practice and inclusive practice. And just by sharing that picture of my trip to the doctor's surgery, I'd like to invite you to have a look around you wherever you are, whether it's at the bus stop or whether it's, you know, in a classroom or your workplace, and just have a look around at the walls and think, you know, how accessible is that? Because once we start building this into our thought process, it really helps us to design with intent. And then, of course, you know, when we think about workplaces, they are workplaces for teachers. Schools are workplaces for teachers and the wider community. So let's just have a look at what this might mean in a school context. And exactly the same, inclusion and education begins with accessibility, making sure that every learning experience, environment, piece of communication could be understood and engaged with by all. And that's about removing barriers. And we create a school community where teachers and pupils, their families, their carers and allied professionals can all participate fully. You know, have you got a poster on the wall in your school that is maybe in the window for parents? Is it accessible? And also, you know, again, we shouldn't be thinking about providing accessible materials to a few pupils. It's about accessibility for all. And I know from my days working in schools, some students were prevented from even having an accessibility requirement or statement because parents didn't really want to put their children through that process. So as Lisa says, and I'm going to put this comment on the screen, it's a really, really important point. Not everyone knows access needs, and it's very rarely acknowledged. So thanks, Lisa. Yeah, we are on the same wavelength there. And this is kind of my background and where I come from. And I'm lucky enough to have done an inclusive digital learning master's module with the University of Edinburgh. And it really was driving home these messages. So enough of me talking about all of these things. Let's get on and have a look about how we design with intent and some of the default features within ThingLink. And I thought it'd be quite fun to do this as a live activity, taking my life in my hands, doing a live activity on a webinar, but it's okay because Ivan's there to keep me right as well. So one of the first things we're going to look at is the accessibility statements. Now, quite often your organization maybe uses ThingLink and they ask us and say, could you give us your accessibility statements? Maybe they don't, but we want you to make sure you know exactly where these are. So in the deck, you'll get this, and you click on the link in this image. It's going to take you to our support page with our ThingLink accessibility statements. And here you've got a PDF which you can download, which is about WCAG 2.1. Then we've got our VPAT WCAG 2.2, and that was updated in January 2025. And then we've got our accessibility statement here. And if it was helpful, you can give it a yes, because we like to have that feedback. So that's where our accessibility statements are, and it will always be the freshest version on this page, so you know exactly where it is. So that's the first thing. And also, you'll see on this slide, there's a Google Doc icon. And when you click on that Google Doc icon, it'll take you to a doc that I've put together with quick links and all the tips that I'm going to be mentioning on this webinar. And the reason I've done that is because if it's a Google Doc, you can make your own copy, you can translate the whole thing, but also we know that people like to make their own internal guidance on accessibility, and we thought this might be helpful if you were creating your own assets for your organizations. Ivan, do you want to jump in there?
Yes, so for the people who maybe went to the page to look at the reports, just 2 quick notes. The VCAG reports are, like Louise said, the latest versions that we have available, but if your organization has any questions about the content, or if you would like a different version of the VPAT statement, for example, please just reach out to us and we will provide them as needed. These are the 2 most common ones, plus the link at the top is the accessibility statement in Finnish, if anybody wants to practice their Finnish.
Oh, okay. Yes, of course. If you didn't know, ThingLink is a Finnish company by origin. So we always have guidance in Finnish as well. Thanks for that, Ivan. Okay. So yes, you have our Google Doc here, which has got all the tips and tricks. There's also links to this deck, and there's also a link to copy the Canva deck that I'm sharing on this webinar. We want you to make sure that you have got comfort and confidence that we're giving you everything you need. So that is there for you. So now I'm going to show you our new interface, and we've got a fresh new look for 2025 if you haven't seen it already. And if you click on the link in this slide, it takes you to a wonderful ThingLink overview, and all of these have got little tags in, there's little explainers, and we practice what we preach. It's got accessible features within that as well. So that's another resource that you're able to use. So let's get on with my demonstration, and I'm going to walk you through some of the features. Again, Ivan, jump back in if there's anything you want to add or if there's any questions that you've got. I thought it would be really fun to let's play a game. So I showed you my appalling picture from when I went to the doctor's yesterday. And you see a lot of things like this. You know, here's a image, which might be a poster. This could be on the classroom wall. It could be a PDF that you give out to students. It could be anything like that. So here I've got this PDF. And I thought it'd be quite fun if I showed you how you can turn this into a ThingLink so easily and make it accessible whilst demonstrating all of our accessibility features. So I have this here, I printed it out, not very accessible, nothing I can do with that really, waste of paper. But here I've got that poster that I've just shown you, which is on Canva. I use Canva a lot. It works so well with ThingLink, and we know that a lot of teachers use it as well for creating their posters. So this actually might be a really good way for me to demonstrate this. So the first thing I'm going to show you is I can click on the share button, and I'm going to download this firstly as a PNG file, because I'm going to use this as the base media of my ThingLink. And then the other thing that I can do is also download this as a PDF, because I'm going to use this PDF to create some of the tags in my ThingLink. I'm going to head over now to ThingLink. Now, you know that you can access ThingLink as an app on your iPad or your Android device. You can also go to it on the browser. It works beautifully in Chromebooks, and then you can use the additional Chromebook accessibility features or the iPad, like speech to text. But I'm going to go straight into here, and I'm in my ThingLink account, and I'm going to go into the media page, and this is where I've got all the ThingLinks that I've created. And I'm going to hit the create button, and I'm going to create my image, and I'm going to upload that PNG file that I just downloaded. Here we go. So here's my problem solving ThingLink that you can see there. Now, the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to come out of this. And here you can see I've got that in my ThingLink account. And if I hit the more actions and I go to rename, you can see here that I've got the file name, which I had in Canva, which is 4 steps for problem solving. Now here I can add alternative text in, and that alt text is for the name of my file, which is going to show on screen readers, and it's also going to show on our accessibility. So I'm going to say a poster image, and then I'm going to add in the file name that I had put there. So we've got a poster image with 4 steps for problem solving, and I've already created my new file with my alt text. Now I'm going to go into my edit mode again and start adding some tags. Now, this is an image with text in the image, which is not accessible. So I would start by thinking of anything that has the text in the image can be put into tags, and then it can be made accessible. So I'm going to click on add a tag, and I'm going to put my first tag here. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to hit the continue button here, and I'm going to show you how I can create my 4 tags from the PDF. So I don't even need to put the text on it. So I'm going to say 4 tags with the problem solving steps, because that's what my prompt is for ThingLink to generate those tags. And I'm going to upload the PDF that I've just downloaded. Here we go. There's my PDF, and I'm going to hit continue, and that is going to create my 4 tags for me. So I don't even need to use a lot of effort to create those tags. And now when I click on this first tag, you can see I've got develop a problem statement, and I've got the text here that was in the PDF version of my image, which I created. You can also see here that it says illustration of someone writing a problem statement on a whiteboard with team members collaborating. Now I can click on the generate with AI, and it's going to generate that image for me of this text. So here we have an image which helps to bring my tag to life. And I can just see Kyle there has asked about Igloo Vision, and we have an integration with Igloo Vision, so it's going to work in your immersive space. Thanks for asking that, Kyle. What you can also see here with this image now, if I highlight the text that's there, what I can do is click on the 3 dots here, and this enables me to add a caption, and it also enables me to add alt text to the images which are in that tag. So I am just going to add in someone solving a problem. There we go. And click the done button. Now you won't see that text there because it's alt text, and that's going to show on our accessibility web player. But if you wanted to, you could also add in a caption, and all you need to do is go back in there, and this will show on top of the image or the video. And then we have it. We have our text and media tag that's of this number 1. And if I go through, you can see the other tags, they're ready. But I don't know about you, but those tags look a bit small, and also the colors could be a bit different. So what we can do here is we can go into the settings, and we can click on tag customization. Here it gives you the options to make a larger pop-up window if you wanted. And it's also got this option to have a hover preview, which means that people get a snapshot of what's in that tag before they open it. So I'm going to click the done there and done again. And now you can see we've got a much bigger container for the text and media tag. One of my other tips is it really helps if you have your tag icons that represent what's in the tag. I mean, that's a no-brainer. I could actually write or do a webinar on when ThingLinks go bad. And Ivan, we have seen a few, haven't we? When people have got lots of hotspots and they're just all over the place, it can be really confusing. So think about the tag icon, the tag placement, and also the tag color. So here I've got a number 1, but you can choose amongst all of these icons. So it really helps you to find the right icon that's going to work. I'm just going to have the number 1, and I'm going to change that into a different color. Here you can see that you can even pick colors out if you wanted. I was going to pick that dark color there. And now I have that colorway in my editor. So you can make your own color. Someone said they would be interested in the ThingLink's Gone Wrong session. I'm going to make some. That'd be quite funny, wouldn't it? And there we have it. So that we've got that one there. And I'm going to click the done again. And now you can see I've got this one. I'm going to just change the icon here to a number 2 and make my colors consistent. So making your colors consistent and grouped together in they match the tags. So I've got text and media tags. So I've got the numbers all corresponding. So it just helps my viewers to have consistency and understand what we've got there. So now I've got my 1, 2, 3, 4 icons. I'm going to click the done here, and you can see that that already is going to be a much better way of being able to access the information in this particular ThingLink. I'm just going to click on my privacy settings there and make sure that I've set that to anyone with the link. And I'm also going to hit the share button, and I'm just going to get the direct link there. And I'm just going to post that in the chat because I just want you to, if you are on a monitor and you want to have a play along, because now we're going to have a look at the Immersive Reader option. So we've got our tags, and you can see that they're all flashing at the moment, all in one go. And actually, wouldn't it be nice if we had our tags that actually went in sequence and used something like guided mode so that we can open our tags in sequence? So I'm going to go back into the editor, and I'm going to click on the settings here, and I'm going to toggle on guided mode. And when I click the done and done again, you can now see that this one is the only one that's flashing, and it's larger. So it's acting like a beacon. It's bringing everyone's attention to the fact that the number 1 is flashing. And if it was a 360 image, of course, it would guide people around the 360 image. So there I've got my number 1, and now the number 2 is flashing now that I've opened the number 1. So how did I get it to flash in sequence? So if I go back into the settings here, I've got guided mode toggled on, but I've also got the option here to drag and drop the sequence that those play in. So if you want to change the sequence and you want to have them in a different order, it's really easy for you to do that. And I'm going to click the done again and done again, and there we have it. We now have our tags with our hover over. You can see here that it's got that little image, and that is a really nice way to reduce cognitive overload by having these little snippets that really guide your viewers. Now you could go one step further. If you wanted to, you could even toggle on locked mode. And locked mode is where you can see now that those don't even flash and they've got padlocks on. So you're even further giving your viewers or your learners the option to see this one. And now the number 2 is flashing. and it's open, but the other two aren't. So this is a really, really nice way to be able to do that. So I mentioned Immersive Reader, and that is an integration that ThingLink has with Microsoft's Immersive Reader. And if you go into the ThingLink that I shared with you, you can see that I've got this little speaker and book icon. And if I click on that, it opens up Immersive Reader. Now, the great thing about this is that we've got text.
Develop a problem statement. Clearly define the...
So your tag now not only has your little image with the alt text, it has the text in the tag that people can read, but you've also got the option for text to speech. What's great about Immersive Reader is that you've got other legibility options with this. So you have text preferences, so you can change the theme and the saturation of that tag as well. You also have font spacings. You can change the text size within this as well. If I click on this one here, it actually shows me ways in which I can toggle on parts of the speech within this text and media tag. You can also toggle on the reading preferences, which have line focus, so I can read it a line at a time. Or you can even toggle on a picture dictionary. So here we have the word problem and a picture dictionary appears. And I just think this is so helpful. All of these things are there for you, baked into that tag. You can't turn Immersive Reader off. It's going to be there in every text and media tag. The other thing that you can do here, and I'll show you a second way to do this shortly, but you can translate all of that text in that text and media tag into over 80 different languages. I'm just going to turn it into Finnish, as we are a Finnish company. And if you toggle on by document, it will change the text in that tag to Finnish, and there you have.
Kehitä ongelmankuvaus. Määrittele ongelma selkeä.
If you want to go back to the original, there we go. Now, because it uses cookies, and this is a very positive use of cookies, we always wonder about cookies, don't we? And if it's tracking our usage. But if the student has changed this to Finnish, then when they open other tags, it will give them the option to change it straight into Finnish. It will remember what language that you've used there. So that's just an overview for you. How incredible is Immersive Reader? And that's baked into your tags. So I'm just going to check with Ivan. Ivan, I'm going to come over to you if that's all right, and just see if there's anything else you want to add about our Immersive Reader integration.
Well, like Louise mentioned, there are other ways to translate content, and there are also other ways to access text-to-speech tools without having to install software on your computer that we'll talk about soon. But it is really a good integration that is always there. You don't need to do anything to get it working. So if you want to just have some tools always available to you, we've got you covered.
Excellent. Thank you, Ivan. So we've got our ThingLink there, and I think we're almost ready to share it. We have made these additional tags. We could put in other things in there. We could put in little videos if you wanted to within the tags as well. And tags and videos just work so beautifully. And I'll show you another example of that in a second. But going back to that design, we've thought already about, our icon styles and how we've got text in the image, and we've lifted that text and put it into those tags. So these are really, really nice tips, but what more can we do to make sure that it's accessible? So what I'm going to show you now is, you'll see at the bottom here, And this is something, again, which is by default. So you don't need to turn this on or off. You can turn it off, actually, if you wanted to. And how you might do that is go into the settings, and you can see here at the bottom, there's things like you can hide the ThingLink logo if you wanted to. And these are the additional kind of icons that you see. And this one here is the international symbol for accessibility. So this accessibility icon is toggled on. And when I hit that accessibility icon, it opens up the ThingLink in an accessible web player mode. So essentially, it turns you in your ThingLink into a web page with additional features. Ivan.
Yeah, so we get questions about this from time to time. The accessibility player is a special view for your content that is designed in such a way that makes it more compatible with different assistive technologies. If you have any experience using keyboard controls for navigating pages, if you use screen readers, the standard media player has a number of features designed to support assistive technologies, but this works much better. This essentially displays all of the information from your tags on a single page that you can go through from top to bottom without even touching your mouse. And in addition to that, it also has the optional widget on the right-hand side here that has a number of additional built-in features. Now, you don't have to use it. You don't necessarily need it. If your viewer has all of the assistive technologies already installed, they can just interact with this accessible view without using the widget. But with that being said, it also has a set of nice features here. So for example, if you find that the text size is too small, you can just increase that by hitting the bigger text button. If you find that, I think Louise has already actually changed the contrast here, but if for some reason you find that the default contrast levels are not good enough, you can hit that light contrast button to switch between different contrast modes. It's in the top row in the middle. But yeah, there's a lot of but again, this is all optional. It's not strictly required by the accessibility standards. It's also not something that everybody needs, but it is there if you need it.
And you're also able to change the widgets here into different languages as well. So you can select your language. It does actually remember what language you're choosing. And there is a whole range of additional features, as Ivan's mentioned there. And this is something that's all accessible on that little icon. Now, some of you who have used ThingLink for quite some time will know that that icon that we've got on the bottom is there, but there also used to be another way of being able to do this, and that is sharing this by link. So there's a link that takes you to this view as well. So if I go back into my ThingLink here and I click on the share button, you can see that it gives me a number of options. I can embed it onto a website. People do embed their content onto their websites. You can include an accessibility link that shows under the website, the embed, sorry. So just to show you exactly what that looks like, here I've got a ThingLink which is embedded. And if I go in to show you the preview for this, here is the ThingLink that's embedded. And you've got click here to see the accessible version of this interactive content. This is a Google site I'm using to show you how beautifully it embeds. And essentially all it is this link here. It's just put that link in there for you. And I can even send you the link of this as well. I can pop it in the chat if you want to see what that looks like. But of course, you can have that little person icon, but you can also share it and get that link as well, which is super handy. So the next thing that I wanted to show you, if I actually go back into my ThingLink, here we go, is to start thinking about our translation. So we've got three main tools that we're showing you. We've shown you Immersive Reader, we're showing you the web accessibility player. I'm also going to show you our built-in translation, which is just phenomenal. So people don't even have to use the Immersive Reader button. You can translate all of the text content in all of the tags in one go. So you'll see here, I'm back in my ThingLink account. So this is the screen that I get that's got the toolbar at the top. And you can see here that I've got a button here, which is translate. I'm going to click on this translate button. And here it gives me the option to upload my own JSON files. So if you're familiar with using JSON files, you can download an example JSON file for you to populate. You can also upload your own JSON file, but we've pretty much done the heavy lifting for you. So here is all of the languages that we've got here. And if there are any missing, do let us know, because our brilliant development team, aided by the wonderful Ivan, can see if we can add this for you. So if I wanted my ThingLink to be translated into all of these languages, I can do that too. So I'm just going to click on all of these languages and show you how easy it is. There we go. I'll just do a few more. I think at some point we might have a select all button, and I'm going to click the save and translate. And now you can see that the translation process is in progress. And it just does its magic. It might take a little while for it to do, but when that's completed, you'll see at the bottom here, if I go back into my edit mode and the settings, you can see here there's that translate icon, and that will show. So I'm going to click the done again and done again. I'm going to refresh my screen. It's probably just taking a mere moment to work its magic. Whilst it's doing that, I can show you that if you click on the share button and you go to share the link, you can also select which language you want to share it in once the translation process has been concluded. So all those languages that I selected, you'll also be able to share your ThingLink in that particular language. Now, the other thing that I want to show you, which is just delightful, is that I can also share my completely accessible ThingLink as a QR code. And you don't need to use another QR code service. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to save that QR code as a download. And then back in my problem solving poster that I created, remember it's this. This might be something you see on your classroom. It could be a health and safety poster. It could be anything. But now all I need to do is click on upload files. I can upload that QR code, and I can pop that QR code into my poster. That means that if I did want a printed version of my poster now, it's got my QR code in there. People can scan that with their phones, and it's going to take them to my accessible version. And I'm just going to click the refresh button there. And now we have our translated option. So here, if I show you in this very first tag, we've got our tag developer problem statement. The number 2 tag was determine the root causes, and that's all in English. However, if now your viewers click on the translate button, and if you're playing at home, you can refresh and get this, you can now see that I can translate that all the tags in one go into any of those languages. So I'm going to choose the Dutch language here, and there we have. And it's even changed my alt text and my captions. Everything is going to be in that language. I'm going to bring Ivan back in and just say, Ivan, that's amazing. It is a phenomenal tool.
Yes, and for all the German-speaking people, we chose German, which is Deutsch, not Dutch, but sometimes it gets easy to confuse if you are doing it on the fly.
Yeah,
The other amazing thing about this is the translations are integrated into other viewing modes. So for example, Louise, if you go back to the share menu and open the accessibility link, you can share the German version of this content in the accessibility player. So you select, let's say, select German and continue with that. And you'll see that the link changes slightly. And if they open it, it will load the same content here in the accessibility player with the German version of all the texts. And the screen readers will be able to recognize that the page is in German. So it's not just the menu and the text here, but you see the text-to-speech tools built into screen readers will be also reading this in German or any other language you select. There's been some discussion about AI in the chat. This is also, of course, powered by AI, but as always, you are in control. So if you notice that maybe some corrections aren't as good as they can be, maybe it doesn't recognize proper nouns and you need to update that, you can always do it either by exporting the JSON file that Louise mentioned, or if we go back to the translate menu, there's also an option to just edit this all manually. So the pen icon at the bottom of this pop-up window will allow you to just edit everything in place. It gets a little tricky if you have lots of languages, but essentially the way it works is on the left, you will always see the original text, and then you will see the language codes and the translated language strings for, well, every bit of text you have.
Amazing. Thanks, Ivan. So yeah, if you're unfamiliar with JSON files and you want to edit those translated captions, we've given you the option to do that there as well. If you do update your ThingLink and in the future, it's a good idea just to click on the translate button again, and it will just make sure that it gets the freshest version. So I know we are coming up to the last quarter of our webinar, and I've still got a few things that I really want to show you. So I'm going to go back into my ThingLink account now, and I'm going to show you closed captions in videos. So I'm back in my ThingLink account, and it's wonderful that when you create ThingLinks, and we talked about the multimodality, and here, for example, I've got a welcome ThingLink from a CEO who's created an onboarding ThingLink. So here we've got,
hello, I'm Hannah Morales, the CEO.
So obviously I've generated this with AI. I've got the text of what Hannah's saying there, and I've put that in the tag. So if you have got a video in a text and media tag, you can put your transcript or your text of what that person is saying into the tag. And I always do that if I've got a welcome video and I just want to put that in a tag. Don't forget also, what's really nice here is that you've got controls to start and play again. So if you're using a ThingLink that's got instructions, thinking again about your learners or your viewers, the ability to stop, play, pause, listen again, read the text, all of these options combined are for everyone to help understand what you're trying to communicate. So it's really good to think about these. There's also a large screen icon here, the volume, but you can also change the playback speed, and you can also do picture in picture. So this will do that for you. You can't see that on my screen because I've got that shared. But what if you wanted to have closed captions for this video? Well, if I go back into my ThingLink account, I have got here a video ThingLink. So what I've done is I've used Canva again, essentially to
hello, I'm Hannah Morales.
A video ThingLink, and I'm going to show you now how easy it is to
hello, I'm Hannah Morales.
Create your closed captions. So here I'm just going to show you. So when you create closed captions, and this is actually a really wonderful thing about AI, is that there are a number of AI generator tools now that enable you to create closed captions from videos. Some are paid, some are free. Screencastify's got it built into it. I think Canva's probably got it built into it. So all you need to do is click the upload captions, and you should be able then to upload your captions. And I'm using a subrip file and upload that. And now you can see I've got these closed caption icons which are there, which means now my video ThingLink
Hello, I'm
not only has text, it also has these closed captions which can be toggled on or off. And if you go into the Google Doc that I've created for you here, you'll see that there's how to add captions, the support page, and it explains all about those different types of files that you can use for your closed captions and where you can get those done. So we've got a question from Jessica Henderson, sort of player for audio. That might be something that's in the works. I'm going to bring Ivan back on to talk about that.
Well, my camera refuses to cooperate, but yes, we have a number of accessibility improvements scheduled for the remainder of the year that include, in order, improvements to the accessibility player first, improvements to the default media player second, and that includes controls for audio uploaded to text, as well as closed captions for videos inside text, and a host of other improvements. And then last step will be improving the accessibility of the editing interface, actually. On that note, if anyone has any feedback or feature requests, be it related to accessibility or not, you're always welcome to reach out to our support team. We'll aggregate that and pass it on to our product development team.
Thanks, Ivan. And I cannot highly recommend sharing feedback enough. It is a really case of you said we did with most of these. So there's also keyboard navigation. I can't show you the keyboard navigation because if I press my keyboard, it'd probably stop the webinar. But there is on our Google Doc, we've put here the support page, which is all about the keyboard shortcuts. So that's another thing. Now, what I would recommend is, of course, is if you are going to use our accessibility features, then a really nice idea is to make sure that you put the information about the accessibility features on your ThingLink. And you're more than welcome to copy this text, but in this I've got the accessibility options for my reader, and I've got that on that ThingLink, and I can just move that around. This is one that I did earlier, but it's just a really, really nice idea to do this. And just as we sort of bring this to a close now, and please do put more questions in, is that it's a really nice way of introducing the topic of accessibility for your students as creators. So if you have got students that are creating their wonderful ThingLinks from either pictures of work they've taken or a virtual trip they've recreated from being on a trip, or even a portfolio, like an interactive resume, if you say to them, how are the people that are viewing this going to see it if they've got accessibility requirements? And you can show them all the features, not only for them as consumers, but how they then can make sure that everyone can appreciate their work. And this is a really nice way to introduce the topic of accessibility right the way from when your students start to create. So I'm just going to finish and round this up by saying the last thing that I really wanted to show you is that you'll probably be aware, if you go into your ThingLink account, there's a way to build branching scenarios. And here, for example, I've got a scenario that's been created by a student, which is a branching scenario all about their portfolio. I've got some other examples here as well. But what we wanted to show you is that the scenarios also work with our scenario builder. So you've got the accessibility player here, which actually shows you the scenario and all the features. So scenarios will have Immersive Reader built into them as well. When you go to view them, I can show you that. So if I'm here and I go into this example and click the share button and get the view, and then I paste that in and go to share this. So here's this portfolio, and you can see here that this one here has got a tag. And as you go through, you can see there's an immersive reader at the bottom. So here I've got a branch, and the immersive reader then has all of my branch options showing there as well. Ivan, is there anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, we focused a lot on the accessibility features for the media editor during this webinar, but as Louise has shown, the accessibility player is also compatible with your scenario content. And the way that works is essentially any media content inside the scenario will also automatically open in the accessible view, but there are also additional improvements that our team has put forward. So for example, if you open your scenarios through the accessibility player, you'll be able to use keyboard controls. If your scenario has questions, if your scenario has ranging questions, or any other type of content, you can still go through all of it using your keyboard controls. It will have the proper alternative text for all of the buttons. So yeah, we focused heavily on the media editor, but we are working on ensuring that no matter what type of content you create, it is as accessible as it can be.
Thanks, Ivan. So I'm just going to round off by showing you again the one that we started with. And the last thing that I think is really helpful, and you'll see all the tips on the Google Doc that I've shared with you as well, which you can translate and share yourselves, is that you do get the options to preview this on other devices as well. So you can see what it looks like on a mobile phone. You can see what it looks like that way on a tablet, on a laptop, or even on a big screen TV. So when it comes to design, think about the different endpoints as well and how it's going to be viewed. So I'm going to bring Ivan back on, and I'm just going to round up my last few minutes and go back to my presentation, because there's a couple of extra things here just to show you that on the 14th of May, so 2 weeks today, we have a webinar which is all about our brand new ThingLink's Scenario Builder. Very exciting, how to create with AI. And if you click on the link there, you'll be able to go and register. Do share that with all of your colleagues and your friends and your channels. We really want to get as many people as possible coming to that webinar. We love you connecting with us. If you hit the links on this slide, connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and on our YouTube channel, we'll have all of our other little videos about how to use those kinds of things. We also have a referral program. If you want to create your own referral codes, then you can earn yourself a few treats, discounts, rewards, those kinds of things. And we'd love you to be part of our referral program. We've got a certificate of attendance for you for attending. So this would be coming to you in your email about half an hour or so after. And as Ivan has suggested, don't just connect with us on our channels. You can also connect with Ivan, support@thinglink.com. In your interface, in your editor, you're able to access the support form as well. Loads of really nice comments coming through. Thank you. This was great. Lots of other suggestions coming through as well. And yeah, ideas about how people are using it for different formats, and that's just really encouraging for us. So if you've got any other questions, thanks Lisa, saying that was really helpful. And yes, a big thank you from me for all of you joining. It really helps us when we know you're watching, when we put these webinars together, to get your questions and feedback. And this is why we do it, so do something helpful for you all. Ivan, thank you so much for being part of your wonderful support team and being my co-host this evening. So all that's left to say is, from all of the ThingLink team, thank you so much for being part of our community, and we hope to see you on the next webinar. Have a safe journey if you're on your way home, or a wonderful rest of the day or evening, wherever you are. So take care, everyone. Thank you very much. Thanks, Ivan.